Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Let's start today's video with a retail nightmare that could only happen in a CVS. Within a span of 5 minutes, two grown men took turns terrorizing the same poor manager, one demanding the cops be called over a parked delivery truck, and the other losing his mind over a $1 price difference. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. The parking cop and the refund warrior. So I don't work for CVS, but I've been sitting at an informational booth every week this month, and today I got to witness two entitled male Karens complain to the staff within 5 minutes of each other. The first guy came in here demanding to speak to a manager because there was a delivery driver parked out front making a pharmacy delivery. There's no loading dock anywhere, so the front door is the loading zone. He was demanding the manager to call the police because of about 3 parking violations. When the manager said he would be long gone before the police ever got here, he got really upset and demanded her name and likely wants to call corporate to complain further. He even went out of the way to track down the driver and berate him. To which the driver responded, "Would you be saying this to the Brinks truck that does the same thing?" That shut him up, and he grumbled something and walked away. Then, literally less than 5 minutes after the first one, another male Karen comes in wanting to make a return. He did not have a receipt, so the worker tells him due to their policy they can't make the return. Well, he starts to raise his voice and is complaining about how CVS is stealing $3 from me. They continue to go back and forth, and eventually the male Karen gets his way from the same poor manager who was just berated by the parking police, and the situation is seemingly over. He returns not a minute later to complain further that he only got a chargeback of $2.49 when it originally was $3.49. A chargeback they never had to give him due to him not having a receipt. He continues to make a scene for a few more minutes and ends it with, "That's why CVS is a ghost town. You have the worst customer service," and then storms out. I'm currently laughing about it with the manager, wondering how these entitled boomer male Karens can be so miserable with their own lives that they have to ruin everyone else's day. It makes me grateful that I no longer work retail and makes me respect even more anyone who has to deal with people like this on the regular. Good luck to all the retail workers who deal with these types of entitled individuals. It sounds like that manager handled both disasters with pure professionalism and zero visible cracks. That's veteran-level composure. On the negative side, it's another reminder that some people are so desperate for control that the smallest inconvenience feels like an attack on their dignity, and they'll happily take it out on whoever's within range. So yeah, OP, you witnessed a perfect snapshot of retail life. 2 Karens, 1 overworked manager, 1 unbothered delivery driver, and 1 bystander lucky enough to watch the chaos unfold without having to clock in. And our second story. 1 coffee coming right up. I worked at a cafe and a big shopping center for a few months between jobs I actually liked. The manager was a nut and liked to throw her weight around. Every evening, she'd tell me to clean the coffee machine and get ready to close up. Every evening, once I was done, she'd ask me to make her a coffee for the road. I'd have to make it and then clean everything again. I offered to make it for her before I cleaned the machine, but she complained that it wouldn't be hot enough. I received a better job offer and was looking forward to 1 more week before leaving. However, the next night, she wanted her coffee after we'd already had to stay back, and I definitely wasn't getting paid overtime. Everyone had left 30 minutes before. I'd had enough. I took care to spill coffee grounds everywhere, use as many utensils and jugs as I could, and just make a huge mess. As I handed her the coffee, I told her I quit. The look on her face was priceless as she realized she'd be the one cleaning up. Worth being poor for a week. If I were in your shoes, I'd have done exactly the same, probably even slower, with a cheerful, "Take your time, boss," on the way out. Because at some point, when someone keeps abusing your effort and your time, the only satisfying closure is handing them the mop they deserve. So yeah, OP, you brewed the most satisfying resignation possible. Some people leave 2 weeks' notice. You left a crime scene and a life lesson. Don't mess with the person who controls your caffeine. And our next story. I evicted my brother after 14 years. You won't believe what he did to my house. I, 40-year-old female, have a daughter, Caroline, 17-year-old female. My younger brother, Adam, 34-year-old male, is married with 2 kids under the age of 5. Back in my 20s, our great-grandmother became very ill and needed full-time care. Everyone else in the family had careers or other responsibilities, and I had just finished university. I ended up being the one who moved in with her and took care of her until she passed away. Because of that, and because she wanted to thank me for being there when no one else could, she left her house to me in her will. It was a small 2-bedroom home near the city center and close to several universities. I lived there for a while until I got married. After that, my husband and I bought a larger home, and the house sat empty for about a year. That's when Adam asked if he could rent it from me. I agreed, but I was very clear with him from the beginning when Carolyn turned 18, I would need the house back for her. We even put together a proper rental agreement with rent set well below market value. He accepted those terms without issue. Fast forward nearly 14 years. About a year ago, I reminded Adam that I would need the house back soon so I could make repairs and prepare it for Caroline. He brushed it off. I followed up with a formal written notice, which he ignored. Eventually, when he continued to act like nothing was happening, I had no choice but to go through the courts to evict him. The case dragged out, but last month the judge ruled in my favor, and just last week he and his family were officially removed from the property. When I finally went in, I was shocked. The house was in terrible condition, dirty, neglected, and clearly uncared for. It'll take months of work just to make it livable, let alone nice for my daughter. I confronted Adam, pointing out that he had a duty as a tenant to notify me about repairs. Instead of taking responsibility, he blew up at me. He accused me of being cruel for kicking his family out so my spoiled daughter could live alone. He also insisted I didn't give him enough notice, even though he had over a year. On top of that, he claimed I had cheated to inherit the house in the first place. Now my parents are siding with him, since Adam and his family have been staying with them. Meanwhile, I'm left with a trashed house and a daughter whose future home will take months to fix. Caroline may have to wait a few extra months to move in, but she's still getting a house, a safe, secure future your brother never had to worry about because you gave him a massive break for years. And now he's just bitter because that gravy train ended. And our last story. HOA tried to screw me over the land. 30 years ago, I bought a chunk of land that used to be part of a massive old farm. Back then, it was just dirt roads and open fields. No traffic, no neighbors, no noise. My property sat toward the back, near what had once been the farm's rear entrance. The front lots near the paved road were the premium ones. Mine was the cheap, quiet end nobody cared about. Fine by me. I bought it planning to do some small-scale farming, but life happened and that never took off. About 20 years ago, a few of the other landowners got organized. They decided to turn the old farmland into a proper suburb. They struck a deal with the municipality. If enough properties were developed, the city would pave the roads and bring in water and power. A construction company conveniently connected to these organized owners went around offering to build homes on our land at a special discounted rate. Around the same time, one of them, my soon-to-be nemesis, offered to buy half my land. The offer was 4 times what I'd paid, so I sold half, used the money in a small loan to build myself a beautiful, spacious home. I lived there happily for years with my mother. I'd planned to build her a smaller house on the other half of the lot, but cancer took her before I could start construction. After that, it was just me. Quiet house, big yard, and peace. Until the same group of organized owners decided to form a homeowners association. I wanted nothing to do with it. I told them flat out no when they tried to get me to sign up. 2 years later, my neighbor, the one I'd sold land to, who'd since crowned himself HOA president, came knocking again. The HOA wanted to block off the old front farm road to reduce through traffic and make my road the only entrance. They also wanted to put a fancy neighborhood sign and a small guard shack right on the edge of my property. I wasn't joining their little club, but I wasn't unreasonable either. I told them they could use that strip of land if they paid me $35 a month and mowed my lawn. It cost them nothing. They already had a landscaping service, and it kept my yard neat. Seemed like a win-win. That deal held for more than a decade. They got their gate, they blocked the other road, hired security, and built themselves a cozy little gated community. They paid me each month, and I enjoyed my lawn staying pristine without lifting a finger. Then about 3 years ago, things got weird. Someone started firing a gun near my bedroom window at night 4 separate times over a month. Scared me half to death. The HOA freaked out too, since their precious secure neighborhood wasn't looking so secure. A week later, they came with an offer. They wanted to build a solid wall around the entire community, complete with electric fencing and cameras. The problem? They couldn't build it around my section without my permission. So they offered me a deal. I'd officially join the HOA, but they'd grant me full exemptions. No fees, no rules. Sounded fair. I agreed. The wall went up in record time. It looked great, actually. Clean, secure, professional. Then, exactly 1 month after it was finished, I found a bright orange violation notice taped to my door. Apparently, my dogs barked too much. I called the HOA office and reminded them that my property was exempt from the rules. The smug little admin on the other end told me that the exemptions had been revoked. I opened the mail they'd been sending for months. I'd been ignoring it, and there it was. They'd canceled my exemptions retroactively. Now they claimed I owed back dues, late fees, lawn maintenance costs, and even a refund of the easement payments for the guard shack land. They also said the easement itself had been voided and, get this, that the HOA had the right to use unused portions of HOA members' property for the common good. What the hell? My land was now theirs? I lawyered up. Months later, the judge ruled that they could revoke my exemptions but had to give 30 days notice. Technically, they'd followed procedure. As I was leaving court, my oh-so-helpful neighbor, the HOA president, smirked and said, "Next time, maybe read what you signed before whining about it." He really shouldn't have said that. When I got home, I pulled out every document I'd ever signed with the HOA. That's when I found the golden ticket. The HOA's legal paperwork used the wrong property number. When I'd subdivided my land for my mother years ago, I'd created a second, much smaller parcel, and that's the one their guard shack, sign, and security gate sat on. They didn't have rights to it at all. A few days later, I got 2 official letters hand-delivered by the HOA president himself, one revoking my exemptions in 30 days and one terminating the easement. Exactly 30 days later, to the hour, I knocked on his door. He opened it, already annoyed. I handed him 2 documents and said, "Sign for these." The first was my notice of intent to build a small house on that land. The second was a demand giving the HOA 30 days to remove their guard shack, sign, and electric boom gate from my property. Then I turned and walked away. The HOA lawyer called me the next morning, smug as ever. "You can't just do that," he said. "Those structures are in an unused portion on your lot." "Oh, they won't be unused for long," I said. "I'm starting construction soon." He actually laughed. "A judge won't let you build a house out of spite." "Who said it's out of spite?" I replied. "It's a buildable lot. Always has been." He stopped laughing. A week later, I met with a new lawyer the HOA had hired, some paralegal who wanted to negotiate a surrender. I handed him a new easement proposal that made the old deal look like charity. $500 a month adjusted for inflation. HOA pays to keep the property up to their standards. $7,500 cancellation fee. I can terminate anytime they fine or complain about me. They pay all my legal fees if they take action against me. He blinked. "That seems excessive." "I've got a demolition crew scheduled in 8 days," I said. The next day, the HOA president signed it. The paralegal later told me he tried to warn him, but was told, "You're not paid to think." It took them 6 months to realize just how bad the contract was. Without access through that guard shack, their gated community status collapses. Their cameras, boom gate, and security power lines all run through my land. They can't touch me without dissolving their own HOA. Now, every month, they pay me $500 to keep using that strip of land, plus handle all the upkeep. The HOA president sold his house, got sued by his own board for losses, and is apparently moving to Australia. After all, they wanted control. They just forgot to read what they signed. Oh man, OP, this is art. Seriously, if there's ever a handbook for how to handle entitled HOAs, your story deserves its own chapter. Now, to break it down a bit more seriously, here are the sides I see. Positive side, you came out ahead financially and legally. You stayed calm, kept everything documented, and let the law do the heavy lifting. Plus, you exposed how reckless and self-serving the HOA leadership was, which likely saved future homeowners from more nonsense. Negative side, I'd say the only downside is that you probably lost a few years' worth of peace dealing with these clowns. HOAs can drain your energy faster than bad wiring, and it's wild that they pushed you that far when you'd been cooperative for so long. Still, the ending balances that out beautifully. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.